heaven. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you have been here before, welcome back. Today I am showing you how I use this Revlon dryer brush that I got when I was out of state. Found it on sale, used, paid a few bucks for it. Not a few, but a few compared to what it would be. You're paying like $9. And it's been sitting still packed up like it was, and I just prepped my hair kind of. I'm gonna finish prepping it in this video and I'm gonna give it a try. That's the plan today because I need to trim my ends. I've been pretty good. Haven't trimmed it for a while, but I got these. I think it's about time for a trim. My hair, when the ends are when they're kind of uneven and stuff, they probably get more tangled when I'm doing it. And I don't like to fight with the tangles more than I have to. And I wanted to hold off on the trims because I don't want to over trim because my goal is length. So I prepped my hair with some of this hair oil that I made. Go back and check out my video if you want to see the major ingredients I used in it. And this is my skin oil. This is different. They're the same kind of bottle, but before I start my hair, I'm gonna go ahead and dew my skin, DEW, with some oil. Massage it into. Don't forget you can massage those muscles in your face because sometimes they get tight. Those temporalis muscles up here. I'm a chiropractor and a naturopath, so if you didn't know that, you want to massage those muscles around those temporomandibular joints, those TMJs in here. I do it for the face, but also it's just a good time to increase blood flow and try to work out some of that muscle tension. But yeah, sometimes you have to work in your oils, whether it's your hair or your skin. And I think sometimes we just put things on top because I have done that, where you just put it on top and you're like, oh, I did it. But if you can maximize the benefits, why not? Go on and massage that in over those eyelids. And what's nice about making your own oils, that you know what you put in it, is that you don't have to feel so bad about rubbing it all into your skin. Like if this was something chemicals, then I wouldn't feel so good about rubbing it on my skin or on my neck where the thyroid is located, which is a very important organ, which helps to regulate things like body temperature, hair growth, weight, that kind of stuff. Even hunger, like you don't want to be rubbing in perfumes, or if you're a man, or chemical things, because our skin is an organ, our skin absorbs. So why not rub in something healthy that it can also have some medicinal benefits at the same time? Which if you do have pre-existing thyroid conditions, you might want to check on what's first of all in the products around your house, but also what's in the products that you're putting even in your DIY to make sure they don't have adverse effects on pre-existing things, which God can heal you of, by the way, because Jesus is still a healer. So like I said, I put some of the hair oil in my hair already, because you have to think long-term too when you're styling your hair. Like, is it more important that your hair is straight for a temporary amount of time, or is it more important that your curls bounce back when you're ready for them to? And it is more important to me that my curls bounce back when I'm ready to wear my hair natural again, rather than having these pieces that have been stuck straight, than for me to have a temporarily straight style that's gonna soak up some water from somewhere and go curly again anyway. I want my curls to be healthy. So it's better to put a little bit too much product, if that's the risk, versus not putting enough. I'm gonna put some more of that in. I already did. Versus not putting enough, and you know, don't want to put your curls at risk. So get your roots, your mids, and your ends. Get all of the parts of your hair. Especially don't forget those ends. Even if you're about to go in and do some trimming, still make sure you get them, because, you know, depending on how much you have to trim, you may or may not have to trim that much. You still want to make sure that you're including them in the process. Let me go back one more time and just pay attention to the mids. So just kind of squeezing into those twists, because you want it to get not just the surface of the hair, but you want to let it get on the inside. Strands also. Squeeze it into your hair. All right. And so I'm using a couple of products that I am not very familiar with today as a leave-in conditioner and as a heat protecting spray. Now these products are not all natural products. Of course, like I just did, I advocate for natural products. These are some products I just happen to have that were free to me. They're not sponsored, but I got them free. So I'm gonna use them. So I have a Carol's Daughter Black Vanilla hydrating leave-in conditioner that I'm gonna put on before I put on this heat protectant spray that I have. So hopefully they do a good job of helping me protect my hair. So I'm just gonna go in, not on the roots as much, because I don't want the stuff absorbing into my scalp, because again, it's not all natural. So this is the leave-in. And by the time this is all over, like my hair is already wet because I just freshly co-washed it, because I had washed it before. So I co-washed it and I did a bond restore treatment on it just a little while ago. If you don't know what co-washing is, it's just when you use conditioner instead of shampoo. You don't use the shampoo, you use the conditioner. And for a while, there was a big thing going on about co-washes and how they're good for you and better than shampooing. And then there's also the school of thought that I've heard more recently that you need to shampoo your hair because you don't want your scalp. Well, first of all, you need to sometimes clear your hair of all the product buildup that it's gotten. And I've learned that if my hair is too weird, like it's not acting right, like maybe it won't, like it feels like it's staying too dry, or if it just seems like it's kind of like limp or whatever, it's not bouncing like it should, I might need a fresh wash, because maybe I have too much product buildup and may or may not, you may not think so at the time. But that might be the issue. So you might need to freshly wash your hair. Also, I've heard recently, which makes sense too, is if you're having scalp inflammation, it might be because you're not washing your hair as much, which also makes sense to me, thinking about it, because it's like if there's, if your scalp can't breathe, or maybe there's too many products in there that are irritating the scalp, especially if they're not all natural products, maybe that's a reason for scalp inflammation. So if your scalp is getting too itchy, or if it's feeling sore, it might be an indication that you're not actually shampooing it, washing it enough, not just co-washing. But I think a balance with co-washing can come in if you've recently washed your hair. You just kind of want to get some of the stuff off, but you're not worried about stripping your hair clean because maybe you already did that recently. So then maybe you just go in and co-wash with just a conditioner. So those are kind of the ideas that I've been hearing and the things I've been, somewhat thinking through. And I think that's kind of the balance that makes sense. Like, don't overwash because you don't want to over dry your hair. You don't want to over like demoisturize and strip all the natural oils out of your hair, but don't underwash to the point of scalp inflammation and dirty scalp and pain and all that stuff. So hopefully that makes sense. And I just remembered that I forgot to bring my other clips in here, but that's okay. I have these, and even though clips are faster and I kind of prefer them, I can just put these on, and I'm not gonna put them on like super tight to my scalp, just kind of leave them, just put them away for now. All right, so I don't know if I finished saying this because sometimes I think of a thought and then I take that path. But if your hair is too wet, you may consider drying it a little bit with a t-shirt or a hair towel or something like that before you go with the blow dryer. But hopefully my hair is still pretty detangled. I detangled it just like yesterday with this. It's like a generic version of the Unbrush by Red, or called Red by Kiss. And so yeah, it's still pretty detangled, thank God. And when I co-washed it just before this video, I left the twists in. So, you know, because you don't want to over brush your hair if you can help it, because yeah, you might end up like, especially if you're not being patient and gentle with it, there's a chance of like over pulling, if you know what I mean. Okay, so last thing, that's it. I have this plugged in. This has what? This is the older one, I think. So it has a cool setting, a low setting, and a high setting. Usually I blow dry on high. I know it might not be the most ideal, but we'll see. I'm gonna spray some heat protectant in because that's the one thing I didn't do. And I do want to make sure it protects from heat. Again, I don't want this on my scalp because it's not natural, and I'm not gonna probably completely avoid getting it on my scalp, but the main thing is to make sure that my hair gets what it needs. Okay, so I'll show you what, I'm not gonna use a cool setting. I'll show you what low sounds like and what high sounds like. So this is low. That's low. This is high. Okay. So what's pretty cool is that you can use this in like all directions. What I'm gonna tell you right now is if you have a necklaces, you probably want to take them off because this thing is burning my neck. It's heating up my necklaces. So let me, ouch, take those off. Another thing that's interesting is that the heat is coming from like I guess, practically all sides of the brush. So it's kind of hard to escape the heat. Um, so you probably want to make sure like you cover up your neck. Ouch, I'm still burning. Ow. Okay, it does take quite a bit of passes, as you can see, but what I do appreciate is that my hair isn't getting tangled up with me twisting. I think one of the things is if you do twist, if your hair is long enough to overlap itself while you're twisting, you probably want to maybe make sure it doesn't overlap to avoid tangling. But so far, so good with not tangling. And I like how you can go under or over, and there are bristles on every side. So that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna keep going. Okay, another thing I forgot to mention. Don't grab the brush right here like you might have seen me do and burn myself. If you need to grab the other end of the brush, use this part and brush like this, not like this. If you're a flat ironer, you might know that sometimes you can grab the outside of the flat iron, like, but you might also burn yourself depending on the flat iron. But sometimes we have a tendency to grab tools a certain way. This one, you don't want to grab this part because it's hot. So that's what I have so far. I have had plans to go in with my other straightener after this. But right now, I mean, this is getting pretty straight. But the thing is, if you are planning to straighten your hair, what I've learned from another hairstylist or other hairstylist or whatever, the better your blow dry before you straighten it, the better your straightening session. So what if I use this a little bit? A little. So another nice thing about the turnability of this, if I may use that as a word, is that you can get more tension because you can just keep turning it. And so you have a better chance of getting your ends, which mine still, they need some help, but they need a trim too. But it helps to get the ends because you can just keep turning it. So that's nice. So I think that's pretty good for that section right now. I am going to just twist this up a bit and move to the next section. What to say session? Next section. Oh my gosh. I obviously need to rest my brain. Need to rest in the Lord. Okay. So I'm gonna keep protectant spray this side and do a little bit of a pre-brush like I did for the other side. I have to remind myself to be patient sometimes when I'm brushing my hair. And let's go. Back to high. It's hard to maneuver with one hand, so. nice about this is that it kind of eliminates the need for like a brush and a dryer. So it still takes two hands, but it's a lot less like stress on your hands because you're not holding a brush and a dryer trying to like follow. So it really like eliminates the hand stress, which is nice. Um, it's not super heavy. It's heavy enough. It's probably like 2 pounds, maybe. I don't know. You can probably find on the website, but it's not like terribly heavy. I mean, I'm sure if you had to do this for a super long time, it could probably get tiring. And even by the end of my session, we'll see. My arms might be kind of tired, but yeah, it's pretty cool. You can also bump your ends a bit while you're at it, if that's what you're going for, not just the straight look. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Another thing about already having your twists and sections, yeah, is that it makes it a little bit easier to because you already have your sections off too that you can use to blow dry in. So that helps. And then once I get done, going through each of these, I am likely going to want to blow dry it all together as a unit because when your hair is in sections, you might miss areas where it's close to the scalp or areas where you have parts. So, yeah, you probably want to go in just to do like a global sweep afterward. So this time I'm going to do all the sections with my leave-in conditioner and then the heat protectant. Welcome if you are just joining me. I'm just doing a Revlon, this little round like dryer brush thing. I'm reviewing that. And so far so it's got some things like you have to be careful not to burn yourself in certain like places, like you want to hold the dryer, you want to respect the dryer where you hold it, because it will burn your hands and your neck if you have on jewelry. So take off your necklaces. I'm gonna leave my earrings on, but I mean, hopefully they're small, so hopefully they'll stay out of the way. So again, I'm gonna pre-detangle just with my brush first, which if you're just joining me, I had already detangled my hair when I washed it or whatever I did the other day. So it should be already partially detangled at least. All right. So I'm gonna try, because you want to keep your hair stretched. Like when I let go, it shrinks back into its curl pattern. So I'm gonna try to put my hair in the brush and then turn the brush on, because I need two hands kind of to do that. Another like and dislike. Let's go with the dislike first. It has a very high pitched screaming sound, which some uh, tools do, um, like blow dryers, which I honestly don't think is good for our hearing. So I think it would be a good idea if you have like earplugs to plug your ears because it has a really high pitched sound and I'm right next to a wall, which probably is magnifying the sound of the walls around me. You can probably even hear an echo as I talk. So I really don't think that's healthy for our ears. I don't like that. What I love is how gentle this feels going through my hair. It feels so gentle. It's so like gentle on the scalp. And I was a little scared about like because it looks a little scary. It looks a little scary. But I looked it up and I think they're actually supposed to be real boar bristles, even though they look kind of plastic. I think they're supposed to be real boar bristles, but these are definitely plastic. But these, they're not like rigid and they feel very gentle on my scalp and hair, which I really appreciate. Overall, this is like has more benefits. The benefits probably outweigh the negatives just because I think as you learn how to use it, like I think the twirling really helps because it helps you not have to like reload your hair if you keep twirling it at the right time, but it is a little bit of a learning curve and I'm kind of playing with that right now. But as far as like it's getting my hair pretty straight for a blow dryer, I'm not having to use a brush or a comb and a dryer. And by the way, this video isn't sponsored. It's just personal experience right now. Um, Overall, yeah, the benefits are pretty good. And I don't know what this has like with the ion situation, if it has ions, which I don't know about that because I know some like usually it's Conair products have like an ion, negative ion that they let out, and I'm thinking like, is that good for our brains? So long term, like they're like, oh, to help like less frizz in the hair, which those blow dryers work really well, and I have had them, and I'm sure I probably still have mine somewhere, and I still would use it, but I don't use it all the time. But I think about long term things like that. Um, is it good for our brains that is shooting out negative ions? Anyways, I don't know what this situation is with Revlon if they do that or not. But like I said, so far the benefits are pretty nice. Let's keep going. I'm going to get this. I think I'm gonna do like the end section and then I have a middle braid for this one. The first part that I didn't have a middle braid, but I think that I have, or I know that I have a middle braid on this one. So I want to see if I can get them both kind of around the same time. My sections that I have, they're not too small. They're probably about 2 inches wide. It's just how I had my hair braided before this. All right. So don't shrink too much, little section. Again, you want to go in, I recommend going in and pre-detangling before you go in with the blow dryer. It'll just make the process easier. So again, it's tricky keeping my hair from shrinking while I'm prepping it to blow dry it, but it's okay. It's all right. Shrinkage is a sign of health, so it's a good thing. Good, healthy, and convenient are not always the same category. But that's okay. It's okay. This is how we get muscles. takes a lot of muscle. Okay. So I'm gonna set it again and then turn it on so I can keep it stretched out. So some of my roots, I can feel they're still curly on this side. Another suggestion I would make is before you start blow drying your hair to make sure that it is at least damp. You don't want it soaking wet, but you want some water in it. It just will make your hair feel healthier, especially if it's, the same kind of texture as mine. It makes it feel healthier, makes your hair feel softer. And you want to try to pass your blow dryer all the way from top to bottom while your hair still has some of that moisture in it. Try not to blow dry your hair, but blow dry it dry while part of it is still shrunken, because I think that's when it starts to feel crispy and hard, and you don't want that. Like, you want your hair to feel nice and healthy and soft. So if you find that your hair is like, say this part up here, it's gotten too dry before you got to with the blow dryer, you probably want to at least mist it a little bit or put some water in your hand a little bit and run it on your hair just to get it damp before you blow dry it. Because I found that it seems, at least for my hair, blow drying it with the damp makes it feel much healthier than blow drying it when it's already dried out. Just doesn't feel too good from my experience. So I'm gonna keep going, but this video is getting pretty long already. It's at 35 minutes and something, and I don't want to bore you all. So I'll try to come back with the results. It might be in a short, or it might be in a live. It's still a little fluffy, a little poofy in the back. But let me see. It's getting where I need it though. And then I do want to get it pretty straight because I need to go in and do a trim on my ends. Not too much, but they can use it a little bit. Thank God. It doesn't seem like I'm not getting a lot of split ends. It seems like it's more little fairy knots that I'm dealing with, and it seems like those have even gotten better. I've been trying to keep up on my moisture game a little bit better this year. That's one of my, if I haven't spoken it, kind of one of my unspoken hair goals for this year is to keep up on my moisture, because I now believe what I heard, which took me a while to believe, that our hair is growing already. We just need to retain the length that's coming from our hair growth. So it's not always about like what products, like what shampoo, whatever. I mean, I can't say that nothing helps speed up hair growth, because possibly there are things, but more than our hair growing is if we're not protecting it to see, then that's an issue, because then you might think it's not growing when it actually is. So just make sure your moisture game is on point, like your hair feels happy after you got done moisturizing, which you have to find the products that work for your hair in particular. And when it feels dry, like feel your hair. And sometimes it's more dry than you realize until you moisturize and you're like, wow, my hair was dry. I learned that about my hair. Like, it's like I thought my hair was moisturized and soft, and then I go and re-moisturize. It's like, wow, my hair felt, it was actually pretty dry in comparison. So make sure you keep up on your moisture game, because that will help you to prevent breakage, to see the growth that's already happening. Okay, because when I did used to get relaxers, and I would have to get touch-ups because my hair was growing. So that's an example that somebody used that really helps me understand, like, yeah, actually my hair is growing. I just have to learn to retain what has been given to me. I have to steward it well. And so moisture is a big part of that. Sometimes you might need protein, you might need to do some deep conditioning treatments, which is another thing that hopefully I think I'm getting better at it. But maybe consistency can still use some work. But sometimes if your hair feels too, maybe it's too stringy or something, or whatever, maybe you might need a little protein. If it's too dry, you might need a more, and feels brittle, maybe you need more of a moisturizing deep conditioner. So it's kind of learning to understand what your hair is doing and treat it accordingly, which might take a little trial and error at first, but then it becomes more natural as you learn and pray to God for wisdom, like one of my sisters on YouTube talks about, because God will give us wisdom to help care for our beautiful hair that He gave us, and He loves it the way that it is, and so we should too. All right, so I'll see ya when I finish at least blow drying it. Let me go get to it. Thanks for joining me. I have to find out how to end this thing. Check back for when I get finished, maybe on a short.